Okay. Now, this is not the last book. I saved this book for last because out of the 12 books I read, I was actually able to do this. Usually when I look at like YouTube videos, they'll always be like, and my favorite book for the month was this book, and I never can do that. But this time, I can do that. So I'm ending this with my favorite book from November. And it is the first book in the Samuel Pepys, I had to look up the name so I could pronounce it right, in the Samuel Pepys Mystery Series, The Brampton Witch Murders. It is an historical cozy mystery. It takes place in 1666. And Samuel Pepys is a real person, I found out. It's by Ellis Blackwood. There are 2 other books in the series that I have planned on getting and reading. And I hope there's more books coming out in this series. I follow Ellis Blackwood on Instagram, and I love their Instagram account. But it takes place in 17th century England, and it was so good. So Samuel Pepys was an actual person. He served in a position. He never served in the military, but he had a position in the military, and he was exceptionally good at it. But, and I guess this was before, I don't know when the Bow Street Runners came into existence, and they're considered to be like the first police department in England, in London, the Bow Street Runners. And I think this is way before the Bow Street Runners. So Samuel has 2, I would say investigators. He calls them inquisitors. When I think inquisitors, I can't think, I think like the Spanish Inquisition, like the Grand Inquisitor. And their names are Abigail Harcourt and Jacob Standish. Abigail is Samuel Pepys' maid. And John Standish is like his mentee or protege. Samuel Pepys was friends with his father. And when his father passed away, he has taken John Standish under his wing. And John Standish is a bit of a, he just, it's like everything he's tried, he's failed at. But it turns out he's good at being an inquisitor. And so is Abigail. The only problem is Abigail is female and she's a maid. And so people don't take her, when she speaks of anything, she's ignored because of her station in life and her sex. But Samuel Pepys trusts both of them. And so he sends them to the town of Brampton because his sister has been accused of being a witch by the witch finder general, Simon somebody or another. His sister's name is Paulina. And Simon is the son of the very first witch finder general who gave himself that title. And so they go down there to try to do it. And when they get there, they find out that not only has his sister Paulina been accused of being a witch, but Paulina's business partner has also been accused of being a witch. But she's more ready to because she uses dyes and things like that. This was so good. So good. I read it in a day. I read it in one sitting. I read it in a day. That's how good it was. I learned so much about 17th century England, about what a witch finder general is, witch hunts, because I'm just used to, I'm familiar with the Salem witch hunt in this country. Did not know that was a thing in England, but it was. And it was so well written from Abigail and John's point of view and from the witch finder general's point of view. It was so good. So I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. The fact that they, had to walk everywhere, like they walked over to the next town to try and, I'm sorry. Here it is, the Brampton Witch Murders. It was just so good. It was so good. And it also showed it was just like how easy it was for somebody, a woman, to be accused of being a witch. If somebody had a grudge against you or didn't like you or anything, and then depending on what town the witch finder general went to, he could find a magistrate that was sympathetic to him, or he could find a magistrate that was not sympathetic. They would let him have a trial, but the burden of proof was on him if they were not sympathetic to him. And so while they were trying to clear Paulina's business partner, the man that accused Pauline of being a witch and a business partner, he dies. He is murdered. And then another murder happens. So not only are they trying to clear Pauline of being a witch, but now everybody thinks that she, through witchcraft, killed these people because a puppet was placed on the door and then he died. So it was just, and then John was getting sick, and you understand why John was getting sick. It was so good. It was so good. And Abigail is really of the two. She's the brains of the two. She's the one that's asking the question. John's just not sure of himself. So she kind of takes the lead in a lot of things. He steps back and leaves it to her. And when they do split up, he's almost like, well, you know, don't leave me. And she's like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I love this book. It was my favorite book that I read of all the books in November. If I could give it more than 5 stars, I would. I love this book. So I just want to hold it up again. It's The Brampton Witch Murders by Samuel Pepys. He also, by Ellis Blackwood. It's a Samuel Pepys mystery. And he also has, and really, he's not investigating anything. It's Abigail and John. They're the sleuths. They're the inquisitors. So good. The other 2 books are Death of a Plague Doctor, or The Plague Doctor Murders, I think that's called, and The Coffee House Murders. And I am going to, they are in my cart, ready for me to check them out.